Welcome, everyone. I'm excited to kick off our presentation today with the theme, the global economy. We're going to explore the key trends, challenges, and opportunities shaping the world's financial landscape. Over the next few moments, we'll cover what influences the global markets, recent developments, and what to watch for in the future. Let's get started. Let's explore the diverse and interconnected aspects of Asian regionalism, which plays a vital role in shaping the broader landscape of global governance. As we move through this presentation, you'll see how these regional initiatives complement and sometimes challenge international organizations like the United Nations. Understanding these dynamics helps us grasp the complex web of cooperation, influence, and competition that define our global system today. Keep in mind that regionalism in Asia is a key piece of the puzzle, influencing economic, political, and security issues across the continent and beyond. This sets the stage for our overall discussion on how different regions and organizations contribute to the global order. Let's take a moment to articulate our stance on global economic integration. This is a complex and often debated topic, but it's essential to understand how interconnected our economies have become. Now, moving on, we'll analyze the key actors that facilitate economic globalization. These include multinational corporations, international financial institutions, governments, and even technological advancements that enable smoother global transactions. Next, we'll start by defining economic globalization itself, what it really means to have economies increasingly interconnected and interdependent on a global scale. By the end of this section, you should be able to explain these key points thoroughly, but in a conversational way, highlighting the most important concepts and connecting them to the broader theme of our presentation. Let's explore the concept of togetherness, which really highlights mutual reliance among countries and people. When we talk about interdependency, we're referring to how economic activities are no longer confined within borders, but now cross them. This is especially clear in trade and business, where companies operate or involve multiple countries simultaneously. The term transnational captures this idea perfectly. It describes activities that span across nations, creating interconnected economic networks. As Shentz mentioned in 2003, economic globalization is like transforming the world economy into an organic system. This means extending transnational economic processes and relations to an ever-growing number of countries, which in turn deepens the economic interdependency among them. This interconnectedness is the core of what we call economic globalization. It's about how countries, businesses, and people are now more linked than ever, sharing resources, markets, and opportunities across borders. And this interconnectedness is essential to understanding the current global economy, as it shapes trade, investment, and even cultural exchange on a massive scale. It refers to the increasing integration of economies around the world, particularly through the movement of goods, services, and capital across borders. This process, often called economic globalization, highlights how countries are becoming more interconnected and interdependent. As markets open up and trade barriers decrease, businesses can operate on a much larger scale, and resources can flow more freely. The International Monetary Fund, or IMF, emphasized this concept back in 2008, noting that globalization isn't just about trade, but also about the flow of capital and services that bind economies together. Ultimately, this trend has significant implications for how nations grow, develop, and interact within the global economy, shaping the broader theme of interconnectedness we're exploring today. Let's take a closer look at the expanding interdependence of world economies. Shankwin in 2000 pointed out that this trend is driven by several key factors. First, there's the growing scale of cross-border trade, which now involves a wider range of commodities and services than ever before. This means countries are more connected through what they buy and sell from each other. Second, the flow of international capital has increased significantly, allowing for investments across borders and creating deeper financial ties. And third, the rapid spread of technology has played a crucial role in shrinking distances and making global communication and transactions faster and more efficient. All of these elements together illustrate how economies are becoming more intertwined, which is a central aspect of economic globalization. This interconnectedness not only influences individual countries, but also shapes the overall global economic landscape, making it more dynamic and complex than ever before. Let's take a closer look at how international capital flows through foreign direct investments, or FDI. This is when companies set up operations or establish businesses in other countries. It's a key indicator of economic globalization, showing how businesses expand beyond borders. For example, you can see countries like Australia, the United States, and China actively engaging in FDI, investing in different parts of the world. In the Philippines, cross-border trading is often demonstrated through partnerships with foreign companies. These collaborations help promote economic growth and integration into the global economy. Overall, these examples highlight how interconnected our economies are becoming, and how international investment plays a vital role in shaping the global economic landscape. Let's take a closer look at the 4 interconnected dimensions of the global economy as outlined by Banks in 2014. First, we have the globalization of financial and capital markets. This means that money, investments, and financial instruments now move across borders much more freely than before, creating a highly interconnected financial system. It allows for easier access to funding and investment opportunities worldwide, but also introduces new risks that can spread quickly. Next is the globalization of production. This refers to companies spreading their manufacturing and operational activities across different countries. By doing so, they can optimize costs, access new markets, and leverage different resources and expertise around the globe. It's a key driver of how modern industries operate today. Then, we have the globalization of technology and communication. Advances in technology, especially digital communication, have made it possible to connect people and businesses instantly, no matter where they are. This interconnectedness accelerates innovation, collaboration, and the flow of information, fundamentally transforming how we work and interact. Finally, the globalization of trade in goods and services ties everything together. It's about the movement of products and services across borders, expanding markets and creating new opportunities for businesses and consumers worldwide. All these dimensions are closely linked, shaping a complex, dynamic global economy that influences everything from individual livelihoods to international policy. They're essential to understanding how our world is becoming more interconnected and interdependent every day. Let's take a closer look at some of the key drivers behind the globalization of trade of goods and services. First, we see the increasing number of business process outsourcing companies in the Philippines. This growth has been crucial because BPO companies help streamline operations, create jobs, and make trade and business interactions more efficient. They essentially ensure that trade flows as smoothly, predictably, and freely as possible, which benefits the entire global economy. Next, we observe the emergence of China as a major supplier and exporter of manufactured goods. Since China established itself in 1995, it has become a vital hub for manufacturing, which greatly eases trade among countries. This development has lowered costs and increased access to a wide variety of products worldwide, reinforcing the interconnectedness of global markets. All of these points tie back to the broader theme of how trade has become more integrated and accessible thanks to these developments. It highlights the importance of institutions like the World Trade Organization, or WTO, which plays a key role in promoting and regulating free trade across nations. Together, these factors demonstrate the ongoing process of globalization and its impact on international commerce. So, on this slide, I want to emphasize just how quickly transactions and interactions happen today, thanks to the internet and communication technology. Essentially, whether you're making a purchase, sending a message, or collaborating with someone across the globe, these activities occur almost instantly. This rapid exchange of information has truly transformed the way we connect and do business worldwide. It's a key part of the larger theme of globalization, breaking down geographical barriers and making the world more interconnected than ever before. This seamless flow of communication and transactions is what drives efficiency and opens up new opportunities everywhere. This is best illustrated by the existence of multinational corporations, or MNCs, and transnational corporations, TNCs. These companies operate across multiple countries, which really highlights how production has become globalized. Essentially, their presence shows how production processes are no longer confined to one location, but are spread out across different parts of the world. This interconnectedness is a key aspect of globalization, as it reflects how economies and industries are now linked on a much larger scale. So, when we see MNCs and TNCs, it's a clear sign that production has become more integrated internationally, connecting markets, resources, and labor in ways that were not possible before. This interconnected production network is a core part of understanding the broader impacts of globalization we've been discussing. The Coca-Cola Company is a great example of a multinational corporation, or MNC. It's based in Atlanta, Georgia, in the United States. What makes it interesting is that it doesn't just operate locally. It manufactures syrup concentrates that are then sold to bottlers around the world. For instance, in countries like the Philippines, these bottlers take the concentrates and produce the final beverages that we enjoy. This setup illustrates how MNCs operate across borders, managing production in one country, while selling and distributing products in many others. It's a clear example of how global business functions and how companies expand their reach beyond their home country to serve international markets. Now, let's look at some more complex organizations that give decision-making powers directly to individual foreign markets. These are known as transnational companies, or TNCs. TNCs tend to have investments in multiple countries, but what's interesting is that they don't always have a unified or coordinated approach to their product offerings across these markets. Instead, they often adapt to local preferences and conditions. On the other hand, we have multinational companies, or MNCs. These also operate in many countries, but they tend to have a more centralized structure, with coordinated product strategies across their global operations. The key difference between MNCs and TNCs really boils down to how much autonomy the local markets have and how integrated their strategies are. TNCs give more decision-making power to individual markets, allowing them to be more flexible and responsive to local needs. Understanding these distinctions is important because it highlights how different organizational structures influence global business strategies and how companies adapt to diverse international environments. This concept ties back to our overall theme of understanding global business dynamics and the ways companies manage their international operations effectively. Now, let's take a look at some of the key actors of economic globalization. First, we have international financial institutions, which play a crucial role in shaping global economic policies and providing financial support across borders. These institutions, like the IMF and World Bank, help stabilize economies and promote development. Next, we have global corporations. These are the multinational companies that operate in multiple countries, driving international trade and investment. They often influence local economies and can even impact national policies due to their economic power. Then we have nation-states themselves. Countries are central actors because they set the rules, regulations, and policies that govern economic activities within their borders and in relation to others. They can facilitate or hinder globalization depending on their approach. And finally, these four actors, international financial institutions, global corporations, and nation-states, interact dynamically. Together, they shape the flow of capital, goods, and services around the world. Recognizing these actors helps us understand the complex web of globalization and its impacts on economies everywhere. According to Boyer and Drake in 1996, the traditional role of nation-states as the primary managers of their national economies is actually being reshaped by the forces of globalization. What this means is that the power and influence that governments once had over economic policies, trade, and even industries are now being affected by global interconnectedness. As the world becomes more integrated, decision-making is increasingly influenced by international markets, multinational corporations, and supranational organizations. This shift highlights the changing landscape of economic governance, where nation-states are no longer the sole managers, but are now adapting to a more complex, interconnected system. This concept ties into the overall theme of how globalization is transforming traditional political and economic structures, emphasizing the need for nations to rethink their roles in the global economy. Filipino consumers now have a clear preference for global products and services. This shift means that local or national products and technologies are increasingly becoming obsolete. When people choose international brands, they're often looking for better quality, innovation, or even just a broader selection. This trend highlights how global competition is reshaping the market, making it essential for local businesses to adapt and innovate to stay relevant. Ultimately, understanding these preferences is key to navigating the changing landscape and ensuring that domestic offerings can still compete effectively in a globalized world. After the devastation of the two world wars, global leaders realized the urgent need to create a system that could help maintain peace and stability over the long term. One of the key strategies they pursued was establishing international financial institutions. These organizations were designed to promote economic cooperation, prevent future conflicts driven by economic instability, and foster recovery and growth. This effort culminated in the creation of the Bretton Woods system, a landmark arrangement that shaped international finance for decades. Under this system, the main goal was to ensure stable exchange rates and facilitate international trade. The international financial institutions that emerged from this period, like the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank, played crucial roles in providing financial support and oversight. They aimed to create a more interconnected and resilient global economy. Connecting this to our overall theme, these institutions and the Bretton Woods system exemplify how economic stability and cooperation are fundamental to lasting peace. They highlight the idea that international collaboration isn't just about economics. It's a vital part of securing global harmony. Now, let's take a closer look at some of the key international financial institutions that play a crucial role in the global economy. First, we have the International Monetary Fund, or IMF. The IMF primarily focuses on maintaining international monetary stability by providing financial assistance and policy advice to countries facing economic challenges. It helps stabilize exchange rates and promotes healthy economic growth worldwide. Next is the International Bank for Reconstruction and Development, or IBRD, which is often referred to as the World Bank. The IBRD's main goal is to support countries in development by providing loans and grants to help build infrastructure, reduce poverty, and improve living standards. Both of these institutions are part of what are known as the Bretton Woods institutions, established after World War II. These institutions were created to promote economic stability and cooperation among nations, ensuring a more interconnected and resilient global economy. Understanding these institutions is essential because they represent the backbone of international economic cooperation, helping countries navigate financial crises and fund development projects. They are central to our overall discussion of how the global economy functions and the efforts to promote sustainable growth worldwide. Now, let's talk about the World Bank. Its primary responsibility is post-war reconstruction, which means helping countries rebuild after conflicts or major crises. But its role doesn't stop there. The World Bank also provides loans to countries to support their capital programs. These are large-scale projects like infrastructure, healthcare, and education that are vital for economic development. Essentially, it acts as a financial partner, offering the resources countries need to grow and recover. This connects to our broader theme of how international financial institutions support global stability and development. The World Bank plays a crucial part in fostering economic growth and stability worldwide by helping nations rebuild and invest in their futures. The IMF, or International Monetary Fund, is a key organization that plays a vital role in the global economy. Its main mission is to facilitate international trade, making it easier for countries to buy and sell goods and services across borders. This helps foster economic cooperation and stability worldwide. Additionally, the IMF works to promote high employment levels and sustainable growth, which are essential for improving living standards and ensuring long-term prosperity. By providing financial support and policy advice, the IMF helps countries navigate economic challenges and avoid crises. Reducing poverty is also a crucial part of its work, as economic stability and growth can lift millions out of poverty over time. Overall, the IMF's efforts are aligned with the broader goal of creating a more interconnected, prosperous, and equitable global economy. This organization is integral to the overall theme of fostering economic stability and growth around the world. So, when we consider the major players like nation-states, global corporations, and international monetary systems, a lot of ongoing debates come into focus. The big question is whether economic globalization actually unites the world, or if it tends to divide us. On one hand, globalization can bring countries closer through heightened trade, cultural exchange, and shared technology. It creates opportunities for cooperation and mutual growth. But on the other hand, it can also widen inequalities, deepen economic divides, and sometimes lead to conflicts over resources or control. Throughout this presentation, we've seen how interconnected systems can promote harmony, but also create tensions. The core issue is whether globalization acts as a unifying force that benefits everyone, or if it primarily benefits some at the expense of others. It's a complex, ongoing conversation that really gets to the heart of how our global economy shapes social and political relationships worldwide. Let's take a closer look at how benefits from economic globalization are not shared equally among nations. As you can see, the benefits tend to be unevenly distributed, which can lead to disparities between countries. This often involves the exploitation of goods and services, where some nations or groups might benefit more than others. On the other hand, globalization also creates mutual dependence, especially between developing and developed countries. According to Orighi in 2005, this interconnectedness can foster cooperation and shared growth. Additionally, globalization has played a role in reducing poverty, as highlighted by the World Bank in 2002. When economies open up and integrate, income can be distributed more broadly across the globe. This has led to a worldwide distribution of incomes, which, in many cases, promotes universal economic growth and development. Banks in 2014 emphasized that globalization can be a powerful force for fostering overall progress. So the big question is, does economic globalization divide or unite the world? As we've seen, it has the potential to do both. While it can create inequalities and exploitation, it also has the power to promote mutual dependence, reduce poverty, and support shared growth. The key lies in how we manage and shape this process to ensure it benefits everyone. Economic globalization impacts all nations and citizens, shaping our daily lives in many ways. It's driven by the increasing integration of economies across the world, making countries more interconnected than ever before. The key players in this process are nation-states, global corporations, and international monetary systems. These entities work together and influence each other, creating a complex web of economic relationships. Understanding these dynamics is crucial because it ties directly into the broader themes we've discussed: how interconnectedness affects development, stability, and our shared future. So, as we've seen, globalization isn't just about trade or markets. It's about how our world becomes more unified economically, impacting everyone involved. Let's take a moment to consider the attributes of global corporations. These entities are typically large, multifaceted, and operate across multiple countries. They have significant influence on global markets, often setting standards and trends that ripple through economies worldwide. Understanding their traits helps us grasp how they shape the global economy. Now, to understand how the global market became interconnected, we need to look at the short history of market integration during the 20th century. It was a period marked by rapid technological advancements, trade liberalization, and the creation of international trade agreements. These developments gradually reduced barriers, increased cross-border investments, and fostered a more interconnected economic landscape. International financial institutions, such as the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank, played a crucial role in this process. They provided the necessary financial support and policy frameworks to stabilize economies and promote growth. Their efforts helped create a more cohesive global economy by encouraging cooperation, supporting developing nations, and facilitating international trade and investment. By the end of this lesson, I want you to be able to explain these key points thoroughly, but in a conversational way. Remember to highlight the most important concepts, like the influence of global corporations, the history of market integration, and the role of international financial institutions. Connecting these points to the broader theme of globalization will give you a clearer understanding of how our world economy functions today. Let's take a closer look at some of the key organizations that support global development through the World Bank. Starting with the Multilateral Investment Guarantee Agency, or MIGA, its main purpose is to facilitate international trade, help stabilize economies, and restore sustainable growth around the world. Next, we have the International Development Association, which focuses on providing financial support to the world's poorest countries, helping them build stronger economies and improve living conditions. Moving on, the International Monetary Fund, or IMF, plays a crucial role in maintaining global financial stability, offering financial assistance and policy advice to countries facing economic challenges. Then there's the International Center for Settlement and Investment, which provides mechanisms for resolving international investment disputes, ensuring that investments are protected and disputes are managed fairly. Within the broader scope of the World Bank institutions, we find the International Financial Corporation, or IFC, which promotes private sector development, and the International Bank for Reconstruction and Development, or IBRD, which provides financial and technical assistance for development projects. All of these organizations work together under the umbrella of the World Bank to achieve a common goal: ending extreme poverty and fostering shared prosperity worldwide. Most notably, these 5 organizations are intergovernmental, meaning they are composed of member governments committed to collaborative international development efforts. Altogether, these institutions represent a vital network of international financial institutions dedicated to supporting countries at different stages of development, ultimately aiming to create a more stable and prosperous global economy. These institutions were created to spur social progress and economic growth, aiming to address and reduce poverty in different regions. On this slide, we're focusing on 2 major players, the Asian Development Bank and the African Development Bank. Both of these organizations work to support their respective regions by providing financial resources, technical assistance, and policy advice. Their goal is to foster sustainable development, improve living standards, and promote economic stability. Essentially, they serve as catalysts for positive change, helping countries implement projects that create jobs, improve infrastructure, and enhance social services. These efforts align with the broader theme of our presentation: building resilient economies and reducing poverty worldwide. By investing in these regions, they're not just promoting growth, they're helping lift communities out of poverty and create a brighter future for millions of people. Now, moving on to slide 27, we see that the goals of the African Development Bank are quite similar to those of the Asian Development Bank. Both institutions are focused on fostering sustainable development, but they do so in different regions. The African Development Bank primarily promotes social and economic development across Africa, aiming to improve living standards and support economic growth. On the other hand, the Asian Development Bank concentrates on supporting social and economic progress, specifically in Asia. What's important here is that, despite the regional differences, both banks share a common goal: creating sustainable growth that benefits the people in their respective regions. This highlights how regional development banks are vital tools for addressing specific local needs while aligning with broader global development objectives. It's a good illustration of how different institutions tailor their efforts to regional contexts, but ultimately work towards similar overarching goals. Let's look at some examples of economic and political integrations. These are arrangements where countries come together to collaborate more closely. For instance, the European Union, or EU, is a well-known example. It's a political and economic union of member states that work together on various levels, from trade to policy. Another example is NAFTA, the North America Free Trade Agreement, which aimed to reduce trade barriers between the United States, Canada, and Mexico. These kinds of integrations help promote economic growth, stability, and cooperation among countries. They are key to understanding how nations work together in today's interconnected world, supporting our overall theme of globalization and regional partnerships. Clearly, these global institutions play a vital role as active agents in fostering social and economic development worldwide. They facilitate cooperation between countries, promote sustainable growth, and help address global challenges. As we've seen throughout this presentation, economic globalization isn't just about markets and trade. It's also about the institutions that support fair and balanced development. These organizations work to ensure that the benefits of globalization reach more people and that its opportunities are accessible to all. So, understanding their role is key to grasping the full picture of how global economic integration shapes our world today. It does not happen overnight. Building a truly integrated global economy takes time and effort. It's a process that involves the gradual homogenization of trade and commerce across different countries and regions. When we talk about global market integration, we're referring to how markets become interconnected, making it easier for goods, services, and capital to flow across borders. This integration is the result of various factors like technological advances, trade agreements, and the reduction of barriers. It's important to recognize that this isn't just a quick change, but a complex evolution that influences economies worldwide. Understanding this process helps us see how interconnected our economies really are today, which ties back to the overall theme of globalization and its impact on business and society. As we look at this slide, we see how the rise of American, Japanese, and European global corporations really set the stage for the further development of international trade. These companies expanded their reach across borders, making trade more interconnected than ever before. But it's important to remember that even before the 20th century, there was already a foundation of international trade, people and countries exchanging goods and services across borders. What really changed in the 20th century was the scale and scope of these exchanges. Larger corporations, with their extensive global networks, helped accelerate globalization. They not only increased trade volume, but also promoted the exchange of ideas, technology, and culture. This trend towards greater international integration is a key part of the overall story of globalization. It shows how economic forces, driven by these powerful corporations, contributed to making the world more interconnected, laying the groundwork for the complex global economy we see today. The ascent of global corporations really reflects how markets are becoming more integrated on a worldwide scale. When we talk about global corporations, we're referring to companies that operate across multiple countries, transcending national borders. One of the key points to understand is that these corporations are not just local businesses expanding slightly. They are major players shaping global trade, investment, and even cultural trends. They tend to have complex organizational structures, with subsidiaries, joint ventures, and partnerships all over the world. This allows them to access new markets, tap into diverse talent pools, and optimize their supply chains. What's really important here is that their growth is both a sign and a driver of increased market integration. They help create a more interconnected world economy, which ultimately benefits consumers through more choices and competitive prices. So, in essence, the rise of these global corporations exemplifies how economic activities are no longer confined within borders. They are part of a larger, interconnected system that shapes our global landscape. Let's take a closer look at the 3 key attributes of global corporations, as outlined by Neubauer in 2014. First, they are powerful entities that can even create crises. This means that their influence is so significant that their actions or decisions can have far-reaching impacts, sometimes leading to economic disruptions or social upheavals. Next, these corporations hold economic prominence. They are major players in the global economy, often shaping market trends and influencing economic policies across nations. This prominence underscores their importance not just as businesses, but as forces that can sway entire economies. Finally, they are agents of economic development. Despite their capacity to cause crises, they also drive growth, innovation, and development worldwide. They create jobs, introduce new technologies, and open up markets, contributing positively to global progress. Overall, these attributes highlight the dual nature of global corporations. They can be sources of both stability and instability, but their role in shaping our economic landscape is undeniable. Understanding these traits helps us better grasp their impact within the broader context of globalization and economic interconnectedness. Today, we'll explore the differences between internationalism and globalism, 2 concepts that often get mixed up but have distinct meanings in the context of global relations. Internationalism emphasizes cooperation and collaboration among nations, often promoting the idea that countries should work together to address common issues. Globalism, on the other hand, tends to focus on the interconnectedness of the world as a single system, often emphasizing economic integration and cultural exchange on a global scale. Next, we'll look at the various institutions that govern international relations. These include organizations like the United Nations, the World Trade Organization, and regional bodies such as the European Union. Each plays a crucial role in setting rules, resolving conflicts, and fostering cooperation among nations. We'll also discuss how globalization impacts governments. As the world becomes more interconnected, governments face new challenges and opportunities. Globalization can lead to economic growth, but it also requires them to navigate complex international regulations, influence global markets, and sometimes cede authority to international institutions. By the end of this lesson, you'll be able to differentiate internationalism from globalism, categorize key international institutions, and understand how globalization influences national governments. These concepts are essential for grasping the broader picture of the global interstate system and how it shapes our world today. Now, on slide 35, we're exploring the concept of a nation-state as a political community dedicated to executing peace. A nation-state combines 2 essential ideas: the nation, which is a group of people connected through organic ties, things like culture, language, or history, and the state, which is the political organization that manages these groups through continuous, organized governance. Think of it this way: the nation provides the social and cultural fabric, while the state acts as the structure that maintains order and enforces laws. Together, they form a political community that aims to promote stability and peace within its borders. This slide highlights that the nation-state isn't just about territory or governance. It's about creating a cohesive community where these organic ties and political institutions work hand in hand. This is fundamental to understanding how modern nations strive to maintain peace and stability through their unique blend of cultural identity and political organization. Nation-states are often compelled to adopt neoliberal ideas and embrace free market principles. This shift means that they sometimes sacrifice parts of their own economic development strategies. Essentially, they need to open up their markets and reduce government intervention to stay competitive in the global economy. But this can also lead to a loss of control over key sectors and limit their ability to shape their economic futures according to their own needs. So, while globalization promotes interconnectedness and growth, it also pressures governments to conform to these international economic norms, which can impact their sovereignty and their capacity to fully prioritize their national development goals. This is observable in the establishment of the UN, which operates as a forum for nations to air their differences. It's a platform where countries can come together to discuss issues, resolve conflicts, and promote cooperation. Moving on to international law and principles, these are essential because they set the rules of the game for international relations. They help ensure stability and predictability in how nations interact. The key points here include the importance of sovereignty, where each nation has control over its own affairs, and the rule of law, which means that even states must abide by certain legal standards. These principles are interconnected and serve as the foundation for peaceful coexistence and diplomatic engagement. Ultimately, understanding these laws and principles is crucial because they underpin the entire framework of international cooperation and help us address global challenges collectively. Now, one of the key developments we see is the rise of transnational activism. Activist groups are no longer working in isolation within a single state. Instead, they are connecting with their counterparts across different states and even countries. This interconnectedness allows them to coordinate efforts, share strategies, and amplify their voices. By working together across borders, these groups can exert more pressure on governments to enact change. This trend highlights how activism has become more globalized, making it a powerful force for social and political transformation that aligns with the broader theme of increasing interconnectedness in our world today. You can see here how new communications networks are emerging, connecting communities through digital media. This is a key part of globalization, as it bridges gaps and creates opportunities for interaction across borders. These networks enable people to share ideas, culture, and information instantly, which really transforms how we communicate and collaborate. As we wrap up this section, it's important to recognize that globalization isn't just about trade or economics. It's also about the way our social fabric is evolving through these digital connections. This interconnectedness has a profound impact on communities worldwide, fostering greater understanding and cooperation. By observing these digital networks, we see the tangible effects of globalization in everyday life, highlighting its role in shaping a more interconnected world. So, as we move forward, keep in mind how these technological advances are continually redefining our global landscape. Facilitating connections among nation-states is essential for fostering strong relationships, and one key way we do this is through intergovernmental organizations, or IGOs. These organizations bring countries together to collaborate on shared interests, whether it's security, trade, environmental issues, or humanitarian efforts. By working within these frameworks, nations can coordinate policies, share resources, and build trust. This collaboration helps to create stability and mutual understanding, which are crucial for addressing global challenges that no single country can tackle alone. So, in the context of our overall theme, IGOs are vital tools that promote cooperation, strengthen diplomatic ties, and help maintain a more interconnected and peaceful international community. Let's take a closer look at the core goals of ASEAN. The organization aims to promote economic growth, social progress, and cultural development across the member countries. These objectives are essential because they help create a more integrated and resilient region. When we talk about economic growth, we're referring to efforts to boost trade, investment, and overall prosperity for member nations. Social progress focuses on improving living standards, education, and health services, ensuring that development benefits everyone. Cultural development emphasizes preserving and celebrating the diverse cultures within ASEAN, fostering mutual understanding and respect. Now, regarding the aims, ASEAN includes 10 member countries: Indonesia, Malaysia, the Philippines, Singapore, Thailand, Vietnam, Laos, Myanmar, Cambodia, and Brunei. These nations work together to achieve common goals, strengthening regional stability and cooperation. The organization itself is known as the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, or ASEAN, and has 28 member states in total, considering its various dialogue partners and associate members. This collective effort is what makes ASEAN a significant force in fostering regional progress and unity. Throughout this presentation, You'll see how these aims connect to broader themes of regional development and collaboration, highlighting ASEAN's vital role in shaping Southeast Asia's future. Let's take a moment to reflect on some of the core principles guiding our shared future. Promoting peace is fundamental. It's the foundation upon which stability and cooperation are built. Securing freedom without borders emphasizes the importance of open borders and free movement, which foster economic growth and social connections. Upholding sustainable development reminds us that our actions today must balance economic progress with environmental responsibility, ensuring a better world for future generations. Focusing on these goals, the European Union plays a crucial role. The EU is dedicated to advancing these ideals by fostering unity among member states, promoting peace, and encouraging sustainable policies. These efforts are all interconnected and contribute to our overarching theme of cooperation and shared responsibility. Together, these principles help us build a more peaceful, free, and sustainable world for everyone. Now, let's look at an important player in the realm of international trade, the World Trade Organization, or WTO. The WTO is an intergovernmental organization that regulates international trade. Essentially, it sets the rules and ensures that trade flows as smoothly, predictably, and freely as possible between countries. It's like a global trade referee, making sure that everyone plays fair and follows agreed-upon standards. The WTO's role is crucial because it helps reduce trade barriers, resolve disputes, and promote economic cooperation among nations. This organization is a key piece of the overall global trade system we've been discussing, as it helps maintain stability and fairness in international commerce. Let's take a closer look at the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, or NATO. This is an intergovernmental military alliance that brings together several North American and European states. Essentially, it's a collaborative effort to ensure mutual defense and security among its members. What's really important to understand here is that NATO was established to promote stability and peace in the transatlantic region. It's not just about military power, but also about political unity and shared values. As we explore the broader theme of international security, NATO exemplifies how countries can come together to address common threats and challenges through cooperation and collective action. Now, let's take a closer look at OPEC, or the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries. It's an intergovernmental organization that includes 14 nations. These countries collaborate to coordinate and unify their petroleum policies, aiming to stabilize the oil market and secure a steady income for their members. OPEC plays a crucial role in the global energy landscape because its decisions can influence oil prices worldwide. By working together, these nations try to manage supply levels to prevent excessive price volatility, which is essential for both their economies and the global economy as a whole. This cooperation highlights how countries with significant oil resources can come together to shape the market, aligning with our broader theme of how international organizations impact global energy dynamics. Now, let's take a closer look at the International Criminal Court, or ICC. This organization is an intergovernmental body, which means it's made up of member countries working together to uphold justice. It's also an international tribunal, serving as a court that handles the most serious offenses affecting the entire world community. The ICC is based in The Hague, Netherlands, a city well known as a hub for international law and justice. Its main role is to prosecute individuals for crimes like genocide, war crimes, and crimes against humanity. This court plays a crucial part in the global justice system, helping to ensure accountability when national courts are unable or unwilling to act. Overall, the ICC exemplifies international cooperation in the pursuit of justice and the rule of law. Let's take a closer look at the differences between globalism and internationalism. Globalism is really an attitude. It's about understanding how interconnected our modern world is. It emphasizes the networks that stretch across continents, highlighting how different parts of the world are linked in complex ways. On the other hand, internationalism is more about the theory and practice of cooperation among nations. It suggests that nationalism should give way to these global links that connect people from different countries. Internationalism also advocates for nations to submit to a larger system, which means supporting global governance structures. So, while globalism focuses on understanding and embracing these networks, internationalism emphasizes active cooperation and sometimes even surrendering national sovereignty for the greater good. Both concepts are vital in shaping how we approach global challenges today, and understanding their differences helps us see the bigger picture of international relations. So overall, the global interstate system is a key aspect of contemporary political globalization. It's all about how countries are working together more closely through various intergovernmental organizations. These organizations help facilitate cooperation among nation-states, promoting stability, peace, and shared goals across the world. This interconnectedness reflects a move towards a more integrated international community, which ties into the broader theme of globalization and how nations are increasingly dependent on one another. Understanding this system is crucial because it shapes how countries interact, solve common problems, and pursue collective interests on the global stage. Now, let's explore the relevance of the nation-state amidst globalization. Despite the interconnectedness of our world today, nation-states remain fundamental because they provide identity, sovereignty, and governance structures that organize societies. They are the primary actors in international relations and policy-making, shaping economic, political, and social agendas. Understanding this helps us see how local and global issues intersect, and why nation-states continue to play a vital role in managing their own affairs, even as the world becomes more interconnected. Next, we'll look into the challenges of global governance in the 21st century. As our world faces complex issues like climate change, cybersecurity threats, pandemics, and economic inequalities, traditional governance structures often struggle to keep up. These challenges require international cooperation, but differences in interests, power dynamics, and resources can hinder effective solutions. It's crucial to recognize these obstacles so we can work towards more inclusive and adaptive global governance systems. Finally, we'll identify the roles and functions of the United Nations. The UN serves as a platform for countries to coordinate efforts on peacekeeping, development, human rights, and humanitarian assistance. Its main roles include maintaining international peace and security, promoting sustainable development, protecting human rights, and providing humanitarian aid. Understanding these functions helps us appreciate how the UN strives to foster cooperation and address global challenges collectively. Weiss and Thacker in 2014 describe global governance as the totality of norms, laws, policies, and bodies that define and facilitate transnational relations. Essentially, this means it's the overall framework that helps manage interactions across countries. It involves a complex system of international institutions, agreements, and regulations that guide how nations work together on issues that cross borders. This concept is particularly important because it shows how global cooperation is structured beyond individual states. It's about creating a set of shared rules and norms that promote stability and order internationally. When we think about global governance, it's not just about governments acting alone. It's about the collective effort of various actors, states, organizations, and even non-state actors to address common challenges. Connecting this to our overall theme, understanding global governance helps us see how international stability and progress are maintained through these shared structures. It's the backbone that supports effective transnational relations and helps us navigate complex global issues in an interconnected world. Let's take a closer look at some of the key functions of the United Nations. First, promoting sustainable development is essential. It means supporting economic growth, social inclusion, and environmental protection all at the same time. This helps ensure that future generations can thrive. Next, protecting human rights is fundamental. The UN works to defend the dignity and freedoms of all individuals, regardless of where they live. Upholding international law is also crucial. It provides a rules-based framework for countries to work together peacefully and fairly. Delivering humanitarian aid is another vital role. When crises happen, whether due to conflict, natural disasters, or other emergencies, the UN steps in to provide life-saving assistance. And finally, maintaining international peace is at the core of the UN's mission. It strives to prevent conflicts and support peaceful resolutions when disputes arise. All of these functions are interconnected and reinforce the overall goal of creating a more stable, just, and sustainable world. This slide highlights how the UN's work touches on many aspects of global well-being. The Secretariat, which is responsible for executing the daily activities of the United Nations, is headed by the Secretary-General. This body plays a crucial role in ensuring that the organization runs smoothly and efficiently. Moving on, the Economic and Social Council, or ECOSOC, focuses on fostering cooperation and policy dialogue across economic, social, and environmental issues. It acts as a platform for discussions that help shape global policies in these vital areas. The International Court of Justice, on the other hand, is the venue where legal disputes between states are settled. It's the primary judicial body ensuring that international law is upheld and conflicts are resolved through legal means. The Security Council has the most critical task of maintaining peace and security worldwide. It is committed to preventing conflict and responding decisively when peace is threatened. The Trusteeship Council was historically responsible for overseeing trust territories, helping them transition to independence. Though its operations have decreased since the decolonization process, it remains a key part of the UN's structure for managing territories in transition. Finally, the General Assembly is the central deliberative organ of the UN, where all member states have equal representation. It serves as a forum for debate, decision-making, and setting the overall direction for the organization. Together, these 6 organs form the backbone of the UN, each with its unique role, but working collectively towards the overarching goal of peace, security, and development worldwide. The United Nations was established after World War II with a clear goal in mind: to maintain international peace and security. This organization was created to help prevent conflicts from escalating into another devastating war. But its role goes beyond just keeping peace. The UN also delivers humanitarian aid to those in need, which can include food, medical supplies, and support during crises. Additionally, it promotes development around the world, helping countries grow economically and socially. And an important part of its mission is ensuring that human rights are protected for everyone, regardless of where they live. So, overall, the UN serves as a global platform to foster peace, support development, and uphold human dignity, key themes that tie into our broader discussion of international cooperation and stability. The veto power of the Security Council can significantly hinder the adoption of resolutions. This feature reflects some of the structural challenges within the UN's operational mechanisms. Essentially, it means that any of the 5 permanent members has the ability to block decisions, which can sometimes slow down or prevent action even when there's broad international support. These vetoes can complicate efforts to respond quickly to global crises. Overall, this highlights a fundamental tension within the UN, balancing the need for effective decision-making with the political realities of its member states. This challenge is a key part of understanding the broader difficulties the UN faces in fulfilling its missions. Despite the ongoing process of globalization, it's important to recognize that nation-states still play a crucial role in the global system. Intergovernmental organizations, or IGOs, rely heavily on the existence of these nation-states to function effectively. They depend on the sovereignty and stability of individual countries to coordinate policies, enforce agreements, and maintain order. This means that even as we see increased interconnectedness, the fundamental political units, these nation-states, remain vital for governance and international cooperation. It highlights that, at the end of the day, the nation-state continues to be a key building block in how the world operates and how global issues are managed. Now, let's look at the terms Global South and Third World. These are often used interchangeably, and they both refer to conditions typically found in developing countries. They highlight a common socioeconomic and political reality shared by many nations in these regions. Moving to our conclusion on the global divide, this concept really captures the stark differences between the developed and developing worlds. The global north generally includes the wealthier, more industrialized nations, while the global south encompasses those still working towards development and economic stability. When we talk about the global divide, we're referring to these disparities in wealth, infrastructure, and political influence that shape international relations. This divide influences everything from global policies to individual opportunities, making it a crucial aspect of our overall discussion on global inequalities. Now, let's move on to slide 57. Here, we focus on identifying the factors that lead to greater integration of the Asian region. Think about what drives countries in Asia to work more closely together: economic opportunities, political stability, shared cultural ties, or regional security concerns. These factors foster stronger connections and collaboration across nations. Next, we need to differentiate between regionalization and globalization. Regionalization refers to the process where countries within a specific region become more interconnected, often through trade agreements, cultural exchanges, or political alliances. It's more localized. Globalization, on the other hand, is a broader concept. It's about the worldwide integration of economies, cultures, and societies. Understanding these differences helps us see how Asia is evolving, balancing regional cooperation with the larger global interconnectedness. This slide is key because it highlights the dynamic forces shaping Asia's regional identity within the global context. Now, let's take a closer look at the production networks among different Asian countries. These networks are primarily driven by market interactions, where countries specialize and trade based on their comparative advantages. This creates a complex web of supply chains that span across the region. Additionally, the establishment of formal institutions, such as the Asian Development Bank, has played a crucial role in fostering economic cooperation and regional integration. These institutions help coordinate policies, provide financial support, and promote stability within the region. All of these factors, market-driven networks and institutional support, contribute significantly to greater Asian integration. They help countries work together more closely, boosting economic growth and stability across the region. This interconnectedness is a key aspect of Asia's overall development and its increasing role in the global economy. ASEAN operates on a consensus basis, which means that decisions are made only when all member countries agree. This approach really fosters a sense of unity, even though they come from very diverse backgrounds and have different priorities. It's a way to ensure that everyone's voice is heard and respected. This commitment to consensus also reflects ASEAN's core value of unity in diversity. By working together through collaboration, they aim to promote development that benefits all members. It's not just about individual national interests, but about building a collective strength. Throughout this presentation, we've seen how this collaborative spirit underpins ASEAN's success, encouraging peaceful coexistence and shared growth. It's a great example of how diversity can be a source of strength when approached with a spirit of cooperation. Now, as we come to the final slide, let's reflect on how Asian countries respond to regionalization efforts. They do so both collectively and individually, which is quite interesting. This dual approach has led to significant progress in economic cooperation and development across the region. It shows how cooperation can be flexible. Sometimes countries work together as a group, and other times they pursue their own national interests. Overall, this highlights the dynamic and evolving nature of Asian regionalism. It's a crucial part of understanding the broader theme of regional integration and economic growth in Asia.